There we go. Okay. So we will have a Q&A. You can ask all of your questions about the retreat, anything that you have. If you have questions about me, about love, about our history, about the faculty, whatever you have, please, there are no questions that are off limits. So please feel free to ask us anything so that you get your answers to any questions that you have. And then, of course, we'll talk to you about how to apply, which again, the retreat is by application only. We do not accept everyone. We had 21 people at the last retreat that applied. We had, I believe it was 7 people that we interviewed, and we had 3 people that were accepted into the retreat. So, you know, this is, and that decision is based on a lot of things. Primarily, can we support you? Can we support you to do the thing that differentiates us from any other retreat that's out there? We're not here, we're not a writer's retreat, which is really why I changed the name from the International Writers Retreat to the International Published Authors Retreat, because what we're trying to do is help you become published. We want you to put your book out there. We don't only want you to put a book out there, we want you to put a beautiful, well-written, well-formatted book into the world that also can become profitable and help you leverage whatever your platform is. So let's begin what we do. So what we do is we generally help more marginalized groups, women, BIPOC, LGBTQ. We want you to have a platform to tell your story. We want you to get your book out there. We want you, for me, and I'll share a little bit about my story. For me, why that's important is because we don't often have an opportunity to publish our stories. And oftentimes we don't have the knowledge or the resources to do that. And people that are really pushing us and supporting us and saying, hey, you should not only write your book, but I'm going to show you how. Hi, Karen. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. And so what we do is we create the most simplified way for you to do that. What is that simplified way? We really just want to give you an arena to just write. We do everything for you inside of the retreat, and I'm not going to go into that now, but we make it so easy, from making sure that all of the technical stuff is done for you, to really just giving you the space, the freedom, the community to then be able to do the thing that we all struggle with, which is finding the time to write. So that's really what we do in a nutshell. And we do that through this 8-week program that I'm going to be talking to you about. So we talk about a 4-day retreat, but really the program is much more than that. And again, I will be telling you what exactly that means. So why we do it. So Love Tashia Asante is my partner in this next retreat. She is a co-facilitator who also happens to be one of the first graduates of the retreat process. Love is quite an established writer in herself. She's award-winning. She's just a badass all around. Let me just say that. So I'm going to introduce you to Love in a moment. I'm going to have Love introduce herself, but I want to tell a little bit about why I started this process. So in 2021, August of 2021, I left the country to travel the world for what was 12 countries over 12 months. I'm not going to go into that part, which is a really fun story, and you all, I hope, will read the book when it comes out. But really what that process did is it allowed me to commit to something that I had been talking about doing for over 10 years, and that's writing a book. So in month 10 of that journey, I ended up moving to Thailand, and I found a beautiful villa, and I had the freedom, I had the energy, I had the desire, and I had the support to actually publish my first book. Now, here's the funny thing. That first book for me was called 60-Second Video Rockstar. And as soon as I published it, I cried. So why am I crying over a book called 60-Second Video Rockstar? Because I think if any of you have not actually published a book yet, there's something that comes along with trusting yourself to do that thing that I think all of us has been saying that we wanted to do, which is publishing a book. And that trust and that goal that you've accomplished is it just, for me, it fueled me in a way that made me write a second and a third over the next 3 months. And so that's really what I'm here to do, is to help you do exactly what I did in a consolidated short amount of time, in a way that you are fully supported, in a way that you, again, create not only just a book, because I see a whole lot of books out there, but I want you to create a beautiful book. So that's why I do this, is to really help women particularly, but people tell their stories. So Love, will you share with everyone why you're doing this, what made you join, not the retreat, but what made you join really me as a facilitator to teach this process?
Yes, Naja, thank you so much, and greetings to everyone. I am so excited to be here. First and foremost, I just have to tell you, this person that just got through speaking is one of the most incredible leaders in the publishing industry. She is very modest, but she said, I'm a badass. She's the ish. She is the ish. And this is so much more than a published author retreat. This is a doorway, family. And some of you I have personal relationships with. I know your background, your history. Jesse, you already have books ready to go. This process literally positions you to be a leader as an author and as a writer. And everything that is taught to you, she brings in luminaries in the publishing industry. One of them is on this call with us today. She brings in, top shelf A-list people. So some of these people who were literally, and I don't want to tell you too much because I don't want to give spoilers, but some of the people who were at the retreat were people I've been trying to get meetings with for years. I got to be in an intimate space with them and ask them questions and learn so much. So it's more than just coming together as a writer. This is a process that will prepare you to catapult your brand, your product, and of course, to have time and the guidance to write your book, professional guidance to write your book. So, I could go on and on. You've been watching me on social media. Most of you are some of my friends on social media. You've seen what I've been posting, the things that I'm doing. I just scored a television show. It's launched, it's live, it's getting ready to premiere on January 15th. All of those things are tied into the experience that I had with Naja Hayward at this retreat. So I just hope that you'll take advantage of this opportunity, because sometimes Spirit opens doors for a specific time and reason. So I really hope that y'all will take advantage of this. Don't let anything stop you. Just set your intentions, yes. Literally, that's what I did. When they accepted me, I said, I'm doing this. And the universe provided everything I needed to be there. And so will you. You will see. So that's it. Thank you. She did not pay me to say any of this.
But I will. Next time.
Thank you.
So Love, like I said, was a graduate. She was one of the first, she was in the inaugural cohort, Calafia cohort. This new cohort that hopefully you all will be a part of is our Maya cohort, Maya Angelou. And, but she actually, I'm just going to be candid. I was shocked that someone like Love even wanted to be a part of what it was that we were doing, because she's so established. And what it did was, it really made me realize that what we're doing is not about helping people become first-time authors, published authors. We're really just helping people have a community of like minds to get the thing done that they want. And whether that's the first book, the 5th book, the 50th book, we all crave and desire this kind of community. And we do it in a very luxury, beautiful, well-organized way. So thank you, Love, for sharing that. So before we jump into, so there's that, right? We do this because we want you to tell your story. We want to support you to tell your story. But we also do this because there's a whole lot of technical challenges that go along with people who are wanting, we overcomplicate this process. And we overcomplicate it because it, to some extent, is complicated, right? I happen to have a background working with New York Times bestseller authors who've also had their books made into movies, and we've done, so I have a background that's pretty substantial in the publishing industry. Not your average person does not have that. So for me, I even complicated the process, and I have some skill behind me. But here are generally the 5 challenges for aspiring authors that prevent them from publishing their first, their 5th, or even their 15th book. The first is, and I want to go through this because I know we have an hour together and I really want to honor your time. So I'm going to kind of go through this, and if you have questions, please jot them down so that I make sure to get them answered. So the first is, surprisingly, there's a surprisingly large number of people who actually do manage to finish writing a book, but they never manage to publish it. Why is that? So one is releasing a poorly edited book. We really think that this process looks like writing is 75% of the process, and then you have all of these ancillary pieces of it. Editing is 7%, spell check is 2%, formatting 6%, right? So we really put all of that stuff, like that's secondary. Of course, we're writers. Of course, we think that writing is the main piece of that. But the reality is, writing is only 25% of this entire process. Now, you need support for all of those other pieces, generally, unless you're going to do it yourself, which of course is totally possible. Self-publishing an entire book from beginning to end is absolutely possible. But that's the pieces that we think that writing is it. And so we miss out on understanding what's going to make a good book a good published book. When you've produced one genuinely successful book, one that's professionally edited, formatted, and uploaded, you will shave significant time off the production process, leaving yourself more time for what's really important, the promotional activities, and enjoying the interaction between your beta readers, which we'll talk about, your subscribers, and of course, the community that you will want to build around your book. The second piece of that is not realizing that writing the book is only one step of a larger process. So again, we go into what are other steps: your spell check, your editing, revisions, formatting, cover design, interior pages, topics and titles, and making sure that the topics and titles that you select are ones that people are looking for. So making sure that how you title it, you're putting keywords, et cetera, into your topics and your title, making sure you have the right keywords, making sure you have the right categories. So that's kind of the pre-work of it. But then the second piece of it is the promotion and making sure that you have people who review your book so that when you put it onto KDP Amazon, people are going to say, oh, wow, there's social evidence that I want to buy this book too. People actually enjoyed reading it. And so we sometimes don't realize that the writing process is really just one step of a larger process. The cover design. So there's 4 key pieces to a profitable book, and having a well-designed cover that's not only designed to be pretty, but it's designed so that people are going to choose it. There's a psychology behind that. And so most best-selling authors will tell you that it is the most important tool for attracting viral readers, particularly on Amazon. But as we'll learn, Amazon is not the only distribution channel for your book. 3 is not releasing your book on more than one platform. So what many of us writers learn just through being in this community is that Amazon is the way to go. And so that's the way we go when we publish. We're conditioned to think that Amazon is the only platform, and we're often worried about the expense of getting our book formatted for multiple platforms. And we don't even realize that there are other platforms available. I've published 12 books now in the 6 months that I've been having my own publishing company, Rainmaker Publishing, and we put our clients on a minimum of 15 to 20 different distribution channels. We support you in doing that, and we do it in the simplest way because it's actually much easier than people expect. Here are just a few of them. So iBooks, Kobo, Overdrive, Scribd. This is just a handful of the different distribution channels that you can put your book on. So when you start thinking and whether or not you join the retreat and you're ready to publish your book and you decide to self-publish, please know that Amazon is only one of many of your options. The 4th piece of this is really not having a business mindset. So yes, you're a writer. Yes, you're going to be a published author, but you have to position yourself also as a business person if you are going to go out there and market your book, if you're going to create a book that's more than just a legacy piece, if you're going to create a book that's more than just a vanity piece, you really need to put on that business hat. I love Love because Love is always coming with a different hairstyle, and it usually is accompanied by a really cool hat. Love is always wearing her different hats, and Love comes with that business hat very often. So you have to put that business hat on in this process of publishing. Having a business mindset means being committed to dealing with mundane but important details, like knowing what you want to achieve with your book, which we help you with. Do you want to gain subscribers and build your visibility, or are you in it for cash profits? If it's the latter, how much do you need to make? How much do you need to charge? What strategies will you use to achieve these goals? My friend David, who's on our call, he actually helps people. So he's also a publisher, and he works with high net worth individuals to put their nonfiction books out into the world. So that's his niche, is really helping people write a book so that they can leverage that book to get on other platforms as speakers, so that they can also, you know, have other opportunities, so that they can use it as a business card, if you will, to get clients. And so he is very clear when he goes in with his clients that this book is a business tool for them to do more than just write a book. And so some of those things, you want to pick a hot topic, find a highly specific sub niche within that niche. Again, these are all things that we help you. So I'm not sharing this with you to overcomplicate it or scare you like, oh my gosh, these are all the things that I have to do. These are the things that we simplify for you inside of the writing process, inside of the Writer's Retreat. Like, we support you with it. You have a community. We make it fun. Love, is it fun? Was it a retreat fun, Love? I think Love might have stepped away for a second.
Oh, no, I'm here. I didn't even realize I was off video, but it was, in fact, one of my cohorts just came on. I think Carol just joined us. It was one of the most incredible events of my life. It was so much fun. The writers that you have a tribe, you are going to have a tribe of writers led by a wonderful chief. I'm going to stop because I get so excited. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave our cave.
None of us wanted to leave. None of us wanted to leave. And we'll share more of that. Yes.
Oh, all right.
You want to make sure that you have something unique and incredibly valuable to share that only you are in a position to teach or share. And that Love is right. Love wrote a fiction book. Hers is it's fun. It's sassy. It's wonderful, and it has a gorgeous story underlying it, right? It's a romance novel with this underlying message. And then we had someone who wrote a memoir. Two people wrote a memoir that was partially self-help. So you really want to know, like, what is the value that you bring in telling your story, your personal story, or a fiction story? Provide a strong social proof of your results, and then publicize it proactively. Again, all things that we support you with. And then number 5 is not realizing that this process of writing, this process of publishing a book, that book is a living thing. It's going to live. I just got an email from Writer's Digest. And what it does is it sends out books that go into public domain, which is generally like 100 years after, if it's copywritten, which again, one of the things that we don't only highly encourage you to do, we support you in making sure happen is getting your book copywritten. But once a book goes out of copyright and it goes into public domain, you and I can use all of the content in that book, right? And so we have to look at, how do we use that entire process of having this living gift, this living masterpiece, and we make sure that we're always using it to catapult our story, to make more money, to help us make a series of books, whatever that is that, you know, this is an ongoing process that we're doing. So the process of self-publishing in general, and specific processes for each self-published task in particular, it's always ongoing. There's promotion to do before, during, and after your launch, and a right time frame to do it. There's also a wrong time frame to do it. There are processes, steps, and tasks common to every book that you process. that you produce. And so really what we want to do is we're giving you a framework that if you choose to go and you write your second or your third or a book outside of the retreat process, you will have the structure to do that. But I'm going to give you another little sexy tidbit about being a part of the retreat. Once you're a part of the retreat community, you're always a part of the retreat community. So your initial investment in the retreat allows you to join us in any other retreat later at cost. So you don't pay the initial investment. That was premature, but there you go. So writing your first book, it ought not to be a flash in the pan thing, right? Think of it as a strategy that you can repeat as many times as you can write books. For maximum effectiveness, your first book should be the first in a cohesive series if you want to seriously make money at writing. And series build your credibility and increase your position as an expert in your specific sub-niche and field. So Love right now, she actually had 2 books that she wrote before her current book that she wrote at the retreat. And what she's decided to do is to turn that into a romance series. And she's going to bundle those together to maximize her profits and to maximize her opportunity for Love. We're going to be working on getting her book into either, you know, a TV series or a film or something like that. So, and so to have that series is really important because that's what people want to know. Well, what's coming next? They don't want to see what's next. They want to see what's after next. So to write a successful series, then you want to choose a highly relevant, trending, or evergreen theme. Again, one of the things that we work through inside of the retreat. And I'm not talking about WordPress themes here. We're talking about really, you know, single aspects of that one theme that you've dedicated to writing at the retreat. This is a friend, Book Ninja, Kristen Joyce. She's does the Author's Quick Guide series. And so you can see really what she's done is visually, she has this cohesive look and feel across all of her books, and has done very well because of how she's seriesed it out. So I want to now talk about, we're at the 30-minute mark. So I want to now actually talk now about the International Published Authors Retreat. I'm going to start off by introducing you to one of our guest facilitators. So I'll tell you, we already talked about David, but I'll tell you a little bit. So David and I met, I don't know, 12 years ago, let's say, give or take, because I actually don't remember when we met. So I'm kind of lying there. I don't remember when we met. I know it was a very long time ago. And when I met him, David was a speaker at an event that I went to. And I was like this the entire time. Not only is he good looking, he's a good looking guy. His wife's a very lucky woman, but he's brilliant. He's compassionate. He's thoughtful. And he really comes with an approach of he is wherever he is at that given moment to contribute to the people that he's speaking to. And so he goes with, he enters the world with how can I serve before anything else. And so because of that, I love partnering with David. He's the kind of person that I really enjoy being around. Now, as a publisher, he has an immense amount of experience in publishing, but he has the piece of the puzzle that most even publishers are missing. His initial background is in publicity. And so what he really knows how to do extremely well, better than anyone I've met, is how do you take that thing and leverage it? And so David lives in Arizona. I asked him to speak. He said yes, because he's my friend and he loves me and I love him. And he was going to do a Zoom. Why did this man show up in Los Angeles? He thought the retreat was in Los Angeles. The retreat was in San Diego, which is about 2.5 hours from Los Angeles. He calls me and he's like, Naj, where's the retreat? And I was like, we're in San Diego. He thought he was surprising me. He's like, shoot. Rents a car and drives to San Diego to surprise us all live for an hour talk. And what this really helped me, it just validated that this is the kind of person I want to do business with. So with that said, I would love to introduce you to David. And David, if you can maybe take a few minutes to talk about why you joined us, et cetera.
Sure. Yeah, we're always looking to partner, joint venture with people that are really serving the author, because we know firsthand the pains, the therapy, right, that comes from writing a book. Anybody ever felt like they're giving themselves therapy as they're writing their book, going through their stories, right? They're doing the inner work, their characters, whatever it is they're teaching. So we understand this firsthand. You know, I'm an author myself. I've written quite a few books myself. So I get it. So I know what it is that people are going through. And anytime you kind of have gone through something similar with people, you're sort of bonded together. Maybe it even feels a little like trauma bonding sometimes, right? Because you know you've gone through the same process. You can share your editing stories, your formatting stories. Anybody ever have that day that they thought they lost their whole file, their book, their manuscript? Anybody ever been like, I lost it all. Oh no, wait, here it is. But for that 1 second, or maybe you really did, right? Those are only things that people experience as, you know, somebody writing a book. So, you know, my heart always goes out to people, and I always want to share and, you know, help. And we do have a lot of resources. You know, my take on the whole world and business for us personally is talent management. We're in the talent management business. And specifically in the world of talent management, we work on publishing, publicity, and show production. And those things really go together a lot these days. And we've been doing that, you know, for well over a decade, you know, hundreds of books, hundreds of bestsellers. But as you get into the publishing aspect of all this, you realize how much there really is. You know, Naja going through this, it's like each one of those slides could have 100 more slides, right? Just like all the places your book can go, you know, all the ways to write, all the ways to edit. Inside my world, we don't even allow my team to use the word editing. Like it's a bad word. Why? Because it's semantics, right? Editing means 10 different things to 100 different people. So like, we don't even use editing. Under the umbrella of editing, there's proofreading, right? That's a whole thing just in itself. There's formatting. That's a whole thing in of itself. Then there's what we call interior design, right? The beautification of the book. Those are three different things. Those are three different phases. So anyways, publishing is such a massive industry with so many moving parts. And I love something that Naja said, and this is kind of leads me up to, you know, where I want to help a lot as well. And that is the idea of good is good enough really doesn't work as well anymore. You know, when I wrote my first book in 2009, there was probably a couple hundred books that came out that month that I launched my book. Nowadays, there's about 4,000 books being uploaded every single day. 4,000, sometimes 5,000, 6,000, right? On average, 4,000 books. So if you know kind of the angels in the details, so to speak, you can easily make your book go from good to great. Right. And that's kind of what Naja has set off to do. Now, I know she kind of has an approach of, you know, let's just get this done, which is great. But you have no idea how many little things she's doing that's going to make your book have a big difference and big impact in the world. And that's kind of what I'm passionate about. And that's why people come to me, because a good book isn't good enough, you know, for them. And a lot of the people that are coming to us for their books, they can't even afford to have a bad book, right? They're a CEO, they're this entrepreneur, they got this 7-figure empire, right? Like maybe an Amazon bestseller is the least of the bestsellers. But if that's the case, how much more important is it that you have an Amazon bestseller? Like they cannot afford to not have an Amazon bestseller and a #1 Amazon bestseller and #1 in multiple categories and #1 internationally, and then move on to other literary awards like the Titan Award. So that's where we really come in, is when the people want to go from good to great with their books. And I don't even know if Naja knew that that's what she was doing, but I could tell the subtle differences. I don't know if you guys saw the book covers that they've done. Those are not average book covers. Those are some good looking book covers. Like even me, I'm going, Naja, tell me who your designer is. Like I'm always looking for good designers, right? You know, we have so many projects. So in that effort, we want to be an extension to Naja. She wants to, and these are my words, not hers. She really wants to focus on what she does best, and she's really building out her team. And there's some things that we do well, and so we're excited to be an extension of that. I think Carol and Love both got some good information when I showed up there, and we really went into the little things, the digital flip book, the beautification of the book, the interior design, all the different ways to make your book look like a book on a Barnes and Noble bookshelf. Your book could even be self-published, but it shouldn't look self-published, right? That's kind of a saying that we have. Another saying we have is we want to give you the power of a traditional publishing brand with the control of self-publishing, right? We want to give you the professionalism and quality of a book that sits on a Barnes and Noble bookshelf with the control and the profits of a book you've self-published, right? So there are pros and cons to a lot of ways to do things. It's not just this is better, this is the only way to go. It's like, you can go that way. Here's what you need to understand, right? So the angels are in the details. We're excited to share, the experiences that we've had, the mistakes we've made, the failures we've made, even some of the successes we've had. I was looking at, Naja going through these things, like these things people do. And I'm like, oh man, I've got 10 more really good ones, Amazon is not always the best place to host your book. We host our books on websites. We want to make it a bestseller as an ebook on Amazon. Now, some of you that heard what I just said are thinking, oh, David's telling me not to put my book on Amazon. Nope, I'm just giving you another way. There's pros and cons to both ways, right? I've pitched ideas for books to the media before I've ever written a page. Why? I want proof of concept. I want to know what people care about, right? So many people say, I don't care what anybody else thinks. Unless you want to be the only one reading your book, you need to care what other people think. I'm sorry, but you do. You want people to buy your book. It is good to know what people like. I've created book covers and put them out there just to see what people clicked on, just to see what people are interested in. Sometimes I'm in love with the book concept. Nobody cares. I don't want to write a book that nobody cares about, right? Where there's other books that I care about a little bit and I share it and everybody seems so excited, right? We can't write in a windowless room, which is something else that I really like about what Naja is doing, right? It's not a writer's retreat. It's really a group think tank. It's really sitting down and going, hey, we're publishing this book. We're launching this book. And now you got people giving you feedback. And not just feedback, but people that are really your ideal kind of readers. I think a lot of the books you guys are going to write, the people in these kinds of groups, they are your kind of ideal reader. So the advice you're getting is really helpful. So I could go on and on. We've got, our top 15 ways to promote a book after it's done. We've got a lot of digital strategies. We've got a lot of different ways that we tell people to create their book. We tell everybody that there's really 6 types of books that you want to create your book into. Those are all the things that I'll kind of leave as a cliffhanger that we'll share at these events. We'll share leading up to the writer's retreat, the publishing retreat, and even afterwards. I didn't know how much time you wanted me to take, Naja. If you have a specific question for me, if anybody has a specific question for me, I'm happy to answer. If you want to save those to later, whatever you want to do here.
Perfect. David, thank you so much. If you have questions for David, we're going to open up Q&A in just a little bit, but that was really wonderful. And I think one thing that you said, David, that really stood out that I think is so critical is that you're right. Behind the scenes, as we're supporting you to write and doing the piece that's going to make a really great book, not just good, but great, my team is in the background making sure that all of those ancillary pieces are taken care of. And we'll talk about what those things are, but this is, and David is right. So David works with his clients for like a year. I work with you all for 8 weeks. And my goal is really, I want your first published book or this published book that you're going to do with inside of the retreat. I want it to be done fast because that's when you're saying, I can do this. And it's actually so much easier than I thought, right? So with that said, inside of the 8-week program, this is not your ultimate masterpiece that you're writing. You're not writing the Ayn Rand book here. You're writing that that piece that's going to get you out there to trust yourself again, to do the thing that you said you're going to do. For me, it was 10 years of saying I was going to write a book. And my first book was 60-second video rockstar, was under 100 pages, and it's still selling. I look on KDP every day. I was like, oh, people are buying my book. Great. So, so David, thank you. David's going to share so much inside of the retreat. I don't know if we'll get him live again. I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky.
I have one other gift for you, and I always come with a few gifts. Today, my gift for you is Karen Comba, and Karen is a client of mine. She's a friend of mine. She just got picked up a new TV show on the new Los Angeles Tribune Network to be one of the flagship shows. She's an author herself, but she has a show coming out called Best Reads. And she pulls articles, she pulls books, she pulls chapters, and on every show she talks about, hey, this is a best read. And it's kind of like a combination of Talk Soup, The View, kind of all blended together. So Karen's somebody you'll all want to be in, contact with. She's one of the decision makers with the producers on what books they might cover, what authors that they might cover. They have a whole indie author section. So I'm giving you kind of the inside scoop here on Karen and things that are being developed. Take her name down, get her information. She's not always somebody easy to get a hold of. I asked her to come and join us and hang out with us for a few minutes and listen in. She's like, she didn't even know what this was about. She doesn't even know what's going on here. I just said, come on. But we just had her at USA Today. She's got some major media coming out. We just had her in New York City on the NASDAQ, a TV show, Fox Business News. She was behind the scenes there. But really, really good person for you to all know. So today, that's my gift to you. Karen, you didn't know I was giving you away, did you?
Oh, I did not. No. Good morning, David. Being connected to David's been a gift of my life, but he's always a surprise. And when he says he gives surprises daily. And so I'm so honored to meet you, Naja. It's just incredible. I've loved listening to everything you're doing. Congratulations. I know Carol and Jacqueline, Sunshine. I haven't met you. I see you on here. But you'll want to be on the show, and you'll want to be part of it. And with the incredible writing you're doing and everything. And Jesse, I didn't mean to forget about you. And I love your little dog that showed up earlier. It's just fantastic. So thank you, David. And I look forward to meeting all of you, and God bless you all for what you're doing. And it's an incredible being an author as well. It is quite an accomplishment to get a book done.
Yes.
But then the business to get it done. And that's why you go looking for David. I mean, if you don't find David and Naja, you don't find the right people in your life, it won't happen. So.
Perfect. Karen, thank you so much. You look like the actress. I can't think of her name, but
not on Saturday morning.
You still look fabulous. Thanks for joining us, Karen. I really appreciate it.
I look forward to seeing you all. Thanks, David.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to share screen again here. There we go. Okay. So, so David is just one piece. He's one of our VIP guest facilitators that joins us. Can you all hear me okay? I want to make sure you can still hear me. So he's one of our guest facilitators. At the last retreat, we also had a literary agent who all the way from Amsterdam who joined us and really talked to us about the literary process, which for any of you who are like, you know what, I love the idea of self-publishing. I think the idea of publishing with a hybrid publisher like Rainmaker is awesome. But I really want to go through the process of finding a traditional publisher, maybe even like a big 5 publisher, right? And so what that would require is working with a literary agent. So we had this masterful literary agent who joined us from Amsterdam, gave such valuable information. She was answering questions that we didn't even know to ask. They say, you know what you know what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. So we want to help you with those pieces. The pieces are like, I don't even know what I don't know. So help me, tell me what I don't know. And then we had a lovely gentleman who's a part of one of our distribution partners, who helps us distribute across 20 plus distribution channels, distribute your book across 20 plus distribution channels. And so he really came and talked to us about that process. What does that look like? Why is it important? Amazon's not the only option. What are our other options? And so these are the kinds of people that you have joining you when you become a part of the International Published Authors Retreat and Community. So what is it? Let's talk about now really what the retreat is. And then I would like to introduce you to one of our graduates, another one of our graduates, Carol, after I go through this, to share a little bit about her experience. So the International Published Authors Retreat, I have to get used to saying that because it was the International Writers Retreat for so long, and I just changed the name because the Writers Retreat just wasn't working for what it was that we were doing. But excuse me if I really want to say that again. But this is, it's really 4 days. It's a luxury writing retreat where you get to focus on the work. And I think for a lot of us as writers, what happens is we're focused on our family, we're focused on washing the dishes, we're focused on, our job, our day-to-day. And so writing becomes a luxury. And so we want to give you a luxury experience to do nothing but write, and write within a community, and write with really good food being served to you, and write in a really pretty environment, and write where you can wake up in the morning and do meditation or yoga, or just sleep in like Carol's our favorite, because Carol's like, I'll see you later. Enjoy, I'll see you at breakfast was Carol's motto. I'll see you at breakfast. But however that works out for you, we really want to give you that freedom to write, but then also, of course, the community to give you feedback about what it is that you're writing. We also really include inside of this this 8-week program 4 weeks of pre-prep. So that's really preparing so that really all you have to do is write during the retreat. Because of the publishing process, there are a lot of pieces to it, right? None of which you will necessarily have to have your hands in, because we're managing so much of that. Our team is managing your formatting, we're managing your cover design, we're managing your copy editing. And like David said, there's actually many kinds of editing inside of the Writers Retreat. We really want to focus on the copy editing. And so, we're preparing all of that up front so that you can then just focus on writing during the retreat. And then we have 4 weeks of post-retreat follow-up and follow-through. And that's really just, if the goal is to have a published piece by the end of our time together, and by the end, I mean by the end of this dedicated 8 weeks, because there is no real end. You become a part of the community. Your cohort becomes your family. The other cohorts become your extended family. And through that community that we're building, I mean, this is our second retreat. So our inaugural retreat, they are close. I mean, they're still messaging each other. They're still having, writers workshops online to support each other to get published. But you become a part of that greater community. And so through that follow through and follow up, you really have access to it. What we've changed here is I was the only real kind of ongoing facilitator. We've brought Love on with this retreat. And so now you have 2 of us. Love has the experience of writing in fiction. And I mean, she has her resume is outstanding. And so you have someone like Love, who's also going through the process. I have a business mind. I have a publishing experience, the technical aspect. That's really where my superpower lies. And Love's superpower is really in the writing process. And excuse me one moment. And so now you have 2 of us that are facilitating this and supporting you along the way. And then what you'll also have access to is a dedicated coaching session with Love, so that you can just have one-on-one time specifically to ask anything that you need to ask about your project. And you're going to have that with Love and with me. Again, I keep talking about the community of writers to support you before, during, and way beyond the retreat. And that, I think, is one of the things that we've found is of greatest value to attendees of the retreat. Knowledgeable experts like David, like the other speakers that have been a part of this, and who knows who shows up. I have a very extensive network of professionals, public figures, people who I've been working with for so many years. And so I'm going to keep pulling them in to help you with their information, their experience, to really help inspire you to create that first, that second, that third published work. And then just a luxury retreat experience. On night one, we have a chef that comes in and really does a welcome dinner so that we can connect together. We had the #1 private chef in La Jolla during our last retreat, who came and served us an exquisite meal. I think we all left. We were going to go and kind of kumbaya afterwards, but I think we were also exhausted from just delicious food and connecting. But we really try and make it so easy for you to just let your shoulders drop down, let all of the stress be gone, and just be able to enjoy the process of writing. And so that's really, in a nutshell, what the International Published Authors Retreat is all about. I'd like to introduce you to my friend, to a graduate, and to a very talented writer who I'm so proud of, Carol D. Anderson. Carol, are you here?
Jeez.
You are. I'm going to stop sharing. Would you mind, Carol, just kind of sharing a little bit about why you joined the retreat, what you got out of the retreat, what you're getting out of the retreat? Would you mind sharing a little bit? I'm going to just stop this share so people can just see you.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here with you. Wonderful, wonderful to meet all of you. Great to see you, David. Karen, I think we connected on New Year's Eve briefly. Love, my sister in writing, and certainly Naja, thank you for having me. This was just such an absolute incredible experience. The thing I love the most to do is to wander the world. And I've been to about 60 countries over the years, and my goal is to reach everyone. But after all of my travels, my friends have always been asking, why is it, or can you tell us about, can you write about it, and all of that. And I always thought to myself, there are hundreds of books out there about traveling. It's nothing is special about that. But when I talk about my coaching in my business and talk about that I do what I do so that I can enjoy life and that there's joy in my life all the time, people are always very curious about that part. And so since 2011, I went around the world. I've had it in my mind that there's something I need to get out of this experience, that I need to share, that encourages others to live life with the same kind of, verve and joy and all of that. And so I wanted that on paper, but I just didn't know what aspect of it I could hold on to in order to deliver my message. And when the invitation was, when Naja provided the invitation for people who might be interested to look at this as a possibility, immediately I knew that I had to participate. And so submitted my information. The entire process was so thorough and structured, and created the space, held the space for us to dedicate unfocused attention on this work and delivering what it was. I came with the title of my book in mind simply because in the process of preparing my application, I revisited a podcast that I was a guest on. And on that podcast, people kept asking me about the joy and how important it is. And that's how I came to my title, Why Joy Matters. It's a 3-part series that has 2 other characteristics that will be delved into, as this one has been. But going through the process, I mean, just imagine seeing the cover of your book even before you really formulated the content, that to me indicated the finished product. It meant to me that this was going to be a completed project, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. And that's what the entire weeks of work together did for me. The other parts, the parts that Naja has talked about, the fact that it was such a luxury, it felt like girls on camp, but in a really fancy camp. And, you know, we were so, it was, when it was private time to just go off and write if you, however and wherever you felt in the property, you know, we all just gave each other space. But when it was time to come together, we were such a beautiful community of women that supported each other and provided the kinds of feedback, encouragement, ideas even. Because when you're reading to an audience that is very likely the audience that would pick up your book in a bookstore, they can hear, they listen for the parts that would work for them and can give you that immediate feedback. And so the writing process then became very rich and supportive and encouraging. I'd do it again. So I'm so thankful that that's part of the perk, is that, you know, part of the perks, because we can come back at any time and even do my second book in another retreat setting. But to be there for each other was really rich. So I don't know if that gives you a general idea of how I came about it, why I chose to do this. All of the support pieces that Naja mentioned, it's like pulling a puzzle together. And one of those 1,000-piece puzzles with the really fine pieces, there's so many components that you don't think of in the publishing of the material that shows up when you're going through the process. And so much of that is dealt with her team. So she just has this proper milestones and schedule and timeline of different components that get addressed, that at the right moment, let's look at this. And at the next moment, let's look at this. And so by the time the writer's retreat is done, all that's left is literally your content to drop into this frame that's been established for you. So it's such a beautiful process. I know for sure I'm doing it over and over and over again. I love the creative process. I love writing. I love playing with words. I love syntax. That's why reading now, I have to resort to Audible now. My book absolutely will be in Audible, or in audio form, I should say, because when I read from paper, I spend too much time on a paragraph and the structure of the paragraph. So I actually have to do it in audio so that I can get through it. So any questions you have, I'd love, to answer any questions at the end.
Carol, thank you so much for sharing that. That just means a lot. I'm glad that you got so much value. You and I haven't really had this conversation. So I was like, oh, this is wonderful. That's exactly what this was built for, right? Because you are wonderful and I really appreciate it.
And can I just add really quickly, you get to bring your whole self. I am 0% a morning person. In fact, I went to bed at 5 a.m. This morning. So I'm not a morning person at all, but I was able to meet them at 10 a.m. before the session started.
I love it. Yes, very true. And you don't only get to, we expect you to. Like that's just, it's what that's my value in the world, is to allow people to be themselves. And I think that that's what we get to do, which allows the best writing to happen, right? Where there's no judgment. As a matter of fact, people are supporting you inside of all of the stuff that might be happening. So you do. Thanks, Carol, for that reminder. Thank you for that reminder. I'm going to share the screen one more time. And then I'm going to have one more share, and then we're going to open it up to some Q&A. So again, let's just talk about what it is. So through the 8 weeks, you have week 1 where we really talk about your topic, your title, your outline. We don't talk about it. We give you the templates, we give you the structure, and then you go, you do it, we review it. You have this community where you can talk about it together. Week 2, book description detailing. why do I need to be working on my book description detailing? You're going to hear from Erica in 1 second. And Erica was like, why are we working on this? You start to understand why I'm doing what and when we're doing it. Because to Carol's point, we want you to be able to visualize this thing. I'm the kind of person, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Every time I've started a business, I create my logo and my business card first. Why? Because I want it to feel real, and I want you to feel that your book is real. Not only feel it, it is real. And so now all you need to do is the thing that you're meant to do, which is write. Week 3, cover design, planning, and preparation. Again, we design it. We work with such talented designers. And David even said it. And David, I'm telling you, this man has exquisite taste when it comes to design. So when he says it, I'm like, yeah, we're on it. Week 4, review of your outline and reviews. We really want to make sure your outline is what your entire book will be written from. And so we want to make sure we put a lot of thought into that process, and that you have an outline that can then make what it is that you write much easier. Week 4 is our retreat. Week 5 is writing support, writing support, writing support, with week 8 being our publishing party. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm going to send these slides to everyone, but in short, we have, you're going to create professional, customized, but proven self-publishing plan, reduce your stress, eliminate unnecessary self-publishing tasks, and have time to write. Save yourself a whole lot of time at every step. We're going to use shortcuts, tips, and secrets that self-publishing pros have learned by heart. Attract powerful, genuine reviews while creating loyal readers eager for your next book. What are you talking about, Naja? You'll learn at the retreat. Your reviews are everything. So important, especially if you're wanting a profitable book. Set up a structure and system you can use for every book. Take what you've learned at the retreat, move into creating book 2, 3, 4, and beyond. Set up a structure and system you can use for every book. Meet and learn from professionals in the industry. Step up your self-publishing process and the results. So I'm going to introduce you to one more of our graduates. I hope you can hear. I'm going to play this, and if you can't hear it, please put it in the chat, because I'm not sure exactly how this works on Zoom, but let me go ahead and push play.
Hi, Naja, love, and prospective participants at the next International Published Authors Retreat. I wish I could be there with you in person today, but I am thrilled to speak a little bit about my experience as a recent graduate of the inaugural retreat. Well, for me, it was actually the convergence of several forces. I started the year by telling myself I was going to spend more time focusing on my writing. I had done various types of writing throughout my life and my career, but I always wanted to take on that larger project and write a book. I am an avid Toastmaster, and particularly the experiences of the past year and a half gave me the confidence to believe that I could write a book. I specifically declined a district position in Toastmasters to make space for writing. Stars aligned, and Naja stepped in with an opportunity. Well, first and foremost, the retreat gave me the opportunity to focus solely on my writing. No cooking, no cleaning, no running errands, just writing. Equally important, though, the retreat gave me the chance to share what I was writing and get immediate and excellent feedback, not only from Naja, but from my fellow writers at the retreat. In a word, absolutely. I came into the retreat knowing a thing or two about writing, but virtually nothing about the publishing industry and the various options available, not only to first-time writers like myself, but also writers who have a number of books under their belts. I have to admit that during the weeks of prep leading up to the retreat, I questioned probably more than once the activities we were focused on. Now, some of the activities made perfect sense to me, like obviously choosing a topic, coming up with a draft book title, and creating a detailed outline. But why were we spending time on things like the book cover design, the ancillary pages, and the bio? By the end of the retreat, it all made perfect sense. Having those elements in place before you start writing, real writer to jump in and get started. If you, like so many of us, have dreamed of writing a book, this is the best way to jumpstart that dream. It has everything: the support and encouragement of Naja and other writers like yourselves, a range of experts brought in to teach you the ins and outs of the publishing industry and answer your questions. And best of all, the time to write. I strongly encourage you all to take the leap. Hi, Naja. Love.
Okay, well, excuse me.
That was awesome. That, Naja, would it be okay with you if I just say like under 1 minute, a little bit about what my coaching and my help with their book is going to look like? Just a little.
I would love it. Yes, please. I'm going to unshare.
All right.
So we'll go into love sharing, and then we'll go into the Q&A. And I know we're at 10:35, so I hope you all can stay with us just a bit longer so that you can get all of your questions answered. Thank
Awesome.
you, love. Okay.
Yeah. Just, I want you to know, again, you've heard everything you need to hear to know that this is one of the best investments you're ever going to make in your life. Investing in ourselves is the road to success, the path to success. But I want to tell you just a little bit about what you'll get during the work with me. We're going to, first of all, you're going to get an assessment by a literary professional and peer. That in itself, and I'm speaking as a writer, that's worth so much, right? To have a real professional to look at your project, to look at your concept. We're going to flush out your concept, by the way, which was one of the most valuable things that Naja helped me with and the other cohorts with. We're going to do group reading and sharing on the chapters in your book. We're going to, if you're writing fiction, we're going to talk about development of characters. This is one of my favorite things in the world to do, is I'm a master at developing and expanding characters. We're going to work on chronology and story flow. So we're going to make sure all the events in your book, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, flow together and make sense with the way that in the order that things happen in your book. You already heard about the connections with luminaries in publishing. This in itself, when I tell you guys, having access to people at this level, people pay thousands and thousands of dollars to be able to do that. And, you know, that we were able to sit with them, people like David Fagan, who I'm not sure if he's still on the call, but we were able to sit with him and ask him questions and get insight, as well as the other leaders in the publishing and media industry that Naja brought together that are part of her extended tribe. She has an amazing tribe that you get to be part of when you work with her. And then finally, education on the business and of publishing and publicity, as well as the ongoing support. And I just want to say, when D. Pepper Massey told me about Naja, I had no idea, you know, her commitment, her passion, her care. She really cares about the writers. And I had prayed for that. I prayed to work with someone like that, and to be able to collaborate with her and her tribe is a dream come true. So I took the dive, y'all, you know, because I am in the business of living my best life. And I hope that you'll join us. I look forward to seeing all of you. I want to say to you, I just want to speak this to you, that you can do this. You can manifest this. Just say yes. Once you say yes, the universe will line up and get behind you and support you having all the resources that you need to move forward. So that's all I want to say. I love you all. Thank you, Naja. You are amazing. You are one of my sheroes, and I'm so honored. It is a great privilege to work with you. Thank you, family. And love you, Carol and Erica.
Oh, love, I love you too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you really just for believing in this process, for being one of my first, along with Carol and Erica, because really I created the curriculum and created this structure, but together with their input, with their love, with their honesty, with their jumping in when there wasn't an established retreat to be had, and saying yes to not only yourself, but to me, that's allowed us to really take what was already awesome and to even make it better in this second retreat process. And so thank you, Love, for, and now partnering with me to, like, when Love said yes to being one of my VIP facilitators, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this is going places for sure. So with that, I would like to open it up to all of your questions. Please, you just, no need to raise your hand, just jump in if you have a question about any part of it. If you have questions of Love, about her process as a fiction author, if you have questions about the retreat, any of that, to let you know, you will be getting a follow-up email that will have an application in it, and it will have all of the details of the retreat. And so you can expect to receive that within the next 24 hours. But this was really just an information session to share with you a little bit more about the retreat, and for you to make a decision for yourself to say yes to applying and to being a part of it. So with that, I'm going to open it up to Q&As to anyone who may have a question.
What, where, how much more details like that, how to apply, like stuff like that?
Yeah, Jess is like, give me the meat.
I believe in divinity, and Tashia knows this, so it was no accident that she threw me in this. And it's been 10 years in a couple months, 10 years since my first and only book came out, and a week after that, the bottom of my life fell out. So,
Jess, what was the name of your book?
More
What
Will
is the
Be
name of your book?
Revealed, One Glimpse at a Time by Jessie Karen. It's still on Amazon. I think I sold 3 dozen copies.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's awesome. So, like I said, we will be emailing those details, but in short, the first retreat is February 28th through March 3rd. So I think it's a Tuesday, the February 28th through March 3rd, Friday, March 3rd. That's the retreat. We go back 4 weeks to do the pre-work. So the pre-work begins, excuse me, I don't have it written right in front of me. I was like, I know people are going to want to know when this darn retreat is. Why don't I have it in front of me? And so that's what the retreat. Go 4 weeks back with our weekly curriculum starting. And I believe that starts February 4th. I believe February 4th. And excuse me for not having that. Obviously, that's an important detail that people need to know. The second piece of it is it will be in La Jolla. And so the actual location is based on how many people we accept into the program. We don't select the actual location until that's been finalized, because we have a minimum of 3 people that we want in the curriculum with a maximum of 7 to 8 people, because we want that very intimate environment. And so obviously then we want everyone to have a private room. So that's dependent. The location is dependent on how many people that will be in the retreat so that we can find the right accommodations. But it is a private home so that we have the privacy to really focus on the writing. So that was question 1. That was question 2, the cost. So the cost is $5,500 to be a part of the community, right? So you get the retreat, the pre-work, the post-work, all of the work that's going to be done on your book on your behalf. But then of course you become a part of this community, and then you have access to future retreats at cost. And so you'll go into the details of that. We do have a scholarship program. If anyone is interested in applying for the scholarship, you'll be able to do that once you receive the application. The application is, we try to keep it fairly simple, but it gives us enough information that we can analyze what it is that we are venturing to do as a retreat and as publishers, that we can support your book, your process, and you in doing that. And so then there's a very small scholarship application inside of that. Anyone can apply for that. Once you apply, we schedule a one-on-one 15 to 20 minute call where we just want to learn more about you. Love and I will be on that call with you. We're going to ask you some questions about your application, really dig a little bit more into your book concept. So Erica, who you met via the video, she actually thought she was going to write a different book about her father. But her book was very research intensive, and I knew that we couldn't support that book that she wanted to write inside of our 8-week program. And so we started brainstorming, and I said, what if you wrote a pre-book to that book, which is more about you and maybe what your father's taught you or something like that. She went, I didn't think she liked the idea. She left, she thought about it, she came back, she said, I love it. I'm going to write a book, In the Shadow of a Maverick, Lessons from My Dad. It is a beautiful book. Erica has such a specific way of writing. She has her unique brand of writing, as does Carol, as does Love, as do all of you. And so we got to support her to really bring that book to life. It's a beautiful book. And so that's the process. Is we have a 15-minute call where we really analyze what your book is, make sure we can support you. And then within, I believe it's a week, you will be notified of your acceptance into the program. You put your initial deposit down of $500, and you have until 1 week before the retreat to pay the final amount. So everything is very transparent. It's very straightforward. There's no bait and switch here. I don't live like that. That's not my values in this world. I believe that, everyone should have access, hence us having the scholarship program. And that's what it is.
And is it only one retreat a year, or what other dates do you have for 20?
Yeah, Jackie, there's 4 retreats a year. And so what I'll do is share with you all of the dates, and whatever dates work for you right now. We're obviously promoting and marketing this next retreat, which is the February retreat. But then we have another in April, another in June, July, and then another in December. So I'll give you the calendar of all of the retreats so that you can make a decision.
And can you talk a little bit, first of all, thank you. This was really helpful and inspirational, and just really appreciate the time. Can you talk a little bit about support for nonfiction books?
For fiction or for nonfiction? Oh, for excuse me, absolutely. So is there a specific question that you have?
Just kind of how, because it's not so much about character development, it's more about content.
Exactly.
And so just my genre was fashion, so I just am kind of wondering how that would evolve.
Works. So Love focuses, actually Love has written both fiction and nonfiction. She was talking a little bit about that fiction piece because she knows that there's a couple of people who are interested in the fiction process. The majority of us are writing nonfiction books. Nonfiction is much easier to do inside of an 8-week program because you don't have all of those other elements. And so we have a complete structure to help you with that. It's fairly similar to what I was talking about, really creating your outline, helping you. All 3 of my books have been nonfiction. I don't write fiction. I'd love to one day. It's inside of me, but I feel like that would take me another 10 years. I need Love to coach me through that. Mentally, probably more than technically. And so that's really where my superpower lies, is helping you with that structure.
And I would add that for the nonfiction genre, there's still development of characters, but in a nonfiction book, you are the character, or the subject matter is the character that you develop. So like Erica, who was writing a book about her dad, that was the character she had to develop. So there was so much input during the retreat on developing and us getting to know the main character and how he was introduced, and telling his story or their story or your story. If it's a memoir, if it's a book about you. So that.
Yeah, and Carol and Erica both wrote memoirs, but they're also self-help books. So they're telling their story, and then they're saying, this is how I create joy. These are the lessons that I learned that may be also useful to you. Again, my first book was 60-second video rockstar. I took a course that I had created and converted that into a book. My second was Less is More, and it's really about minimalism. And then my third book, which I'm in the process of editing right now, it's on perfectionism. So, again, Jackie, to your point, there is a structure for getting that done, getting it done well and in a simplified way. So we definitely will support you in that.
Thank
I can
you.
share quite a few things in that realm as well.
Oh, did I miss someone?
I just said I could share quite a few things in that realm as well.
Yes, that's David's, definitely David's wheelhouse for sure.
Wonderful. And you know, just another quick question. Does the cost include, like we talked about the cover? Does that include the cost of the cover development? And like we're talking about writing, does that include the proofing of the book
Mhm.
manuscript?
It includes copy editing. So copy editing is different than there's 6 different types of editing. So the copy editing is really making sure that the grammar is correct, the spelling is correct. Inside of the retreat, you all help each other with more development editing. But we don't do that. We do pieces of that, but we don't do that to a great extent. We really focus on copy editing. Your cover design is completely included, both your ebook and your paperback book. You also get some 3D imagery to help you with the marketing piece, the formatting, interior pages, acknowledgements page, dedication page, all of that, really creating like a beautiful interior. You also receive a flip book with your once everything is complete, that's really beautiful for you to share, where you could help get reviews. You can either include a chapter, so you can use it as a marketing tool, or you can include the whole thing. We help you really identify how to do the reviews process. We help you with the distribution, so getting it, and you do have an option to either self-publish and create your own publishing company, or you can utilize the Rainmaker Publishing imagery. So we wouldn't actually be your publisher on record, but you could use our publishing imagery to publish. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Can I ask David something?
Absolutely.
How is the community and the market supporting memoirs these days relative to sort of self-help, throw some sobriety in there and healing and grief work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, you guys don't want the politically correct answer, but there are different ways to look at that. Bottom line is, in the nonfiction world, it's very driven by what's in it for me. So we don't really care very much about you. So that can be hard for people that want the memoir. So what I tell people is, there's 2 ways to put out the information. You can tell your story, and your story can provide lessons that the reader can say, this is the moral of the story, right? Or you can teach people things, and you can say, hey, this is what I want to teach you. And then second, you can use your story alongside other people's story to support your belief or your teachings. The latter is the more powerful way, except there's only one major exception to that. If you're a celebrity, like Matthew McConaughey can write a book that isn't even really a book, and he can just tell you whatever cool stories he wants to tell you in whatever order he wants to tell you. And it doesn't really matter because it's Matthew McConaughey, right? Or it doesn't really matter because, it's Michelle Obama, right? So if you are not a well-known celebrity status symbol, memoirs are very rarely, I shouldn't say not, but they're very rarely good nonfiction business building books, because we don't really, as a society, as a people around the globe, we don't really care. They don't really care about David Fagen, right? Now, if you have a large following, that following can be very interested. So in a way, you might be a celebrity in your own area. You might be an authority in your own industry. You might be an icon in your own industry. So those people might care. So there are some exceptions to the rule, but typically what I'm telling people is, if you want to talk a lot about your story, find that common thread throughout your story that you're teaching people, and lead with that as your title, lead with that as your subtitle, so that the reader knows, hey, this is what I'm going to get out of it. right? Who cares about David Fagan? I'm going to learn how to fill in the blank. Now, as they're reading that stuff, that's the better way to go. So one last thought on that is there's a very simple formula for that. John Maxwell does it really well. Other people do it really well. John Maxwell is one of my favorite authors. At the start of every chapter, he'll tell you his belief. He'll say, hey, my belief is you got to surround yourself with really good people, right? That's the first paragraph. Then he'll tell you stories of famous people, right, that surrounded themselves with really good people. And then after that, he'll say, here's how I surrounded myself with really good people. Then he'll tell you some stories about himself. And then it's a conclusion, hey, proximity is power, and you got to surround yourself with really good people. But every chapter is the same thing. My belief, my law, famous people, other examples. Here's my personal example, conclusion, next chapter. So it's a very easy formula. So when people come to me and say, hey, I want to write about my life, I say to them, is that a bucket list item? Is that a legacy item? Is this for your children? If so, great. If they say, no, this is about my business, well, then I usually tell them to lead more with what their life is going to teach people and support it with your stories. Your story's still in there. It's your stories are just second to your beliefs and what people are going to learn. Was that okay?
Was that helpful, Jess?
Yeah, thanks for the candor. I really
Yeah.
Totally appreciate that.
Yeah. I've written over a dozen books, and honestly, I've lost count just because I've been a part of other books. It depends if we count anthology books. I've never written my life story. This year, one of my goals is to write my life story. It's going to be called Delusional Confidence, the David Fagan story. Now, it would sound like, oh, you're breaking the rules of everything you just said. Well, no, not really, because at this point in my life, I have a large following. I don't think that the average individual out there, maybe some might, but I'm not so bold to think the average individual is going to want to know about me. But inside my world, I have such a large database and following now. I've had enough people say that to me that it will make sense for me to do that. And even if they didn't, I'm doing it for my children. I'm doing it as a bucket list thing. It isn't just a business thing to me. It's going to check some other boxes. So like even when Erica came along, Erica, it was important for her love for her father to continue his legacy. So there was other things she was doing. But if Erica was to come to me and say, David, all I care about is my business. I have a very specific business that is this. The whole idea is to get me more clients. The whole idea is to get me featured in the media. I would have given her a different way to go, but she's retired. This is therapeutic to her. This is like the love of her father coming out in these pages. That's a whole different thing. So it just kind of depends on what your goal is. And that's kind of what Naja is going to guide you through. What's your goal? Depending on if your goal changes, then the advice might change. Is that fair, Naja? Am I?
Absolutely. And
Okay.
one of the things that we did do with Erica, so that it wasn't simply a memoir, is we created so who could identify with a story of being in the shadow of their parents, right? And so what we did was we took that conceptually, a whole lot of people. So how do we do exactly what David says? How do you tell your story so that you get that memoir, you get it out, it becomes a legacy piece, but then you help people that also will identify with what you went through to have that self-help piece so that there's lessons in it. So, and Carol did the exact same thing with her book. Her book is Why Joy Matters. And she talks a lot about her story of being a Belizean woman coming to America, all of her travels. You think it's going to be this really like woo-woo kind of, oh, why joy matters? Joy matters because da-da-da-da. No, like she's telling you all this, the muck. And she tells you the muck and then she gives you the lesson. And so that's what we help you infuse in it so that it isn't just, we're really not interested in vanity authorship. Was that helpful, Jess? Okay. Any other questions? I know we're about 30 minutes out and I know we're about 30 minutes out. So any other questions? Sunshine, you got a question? David, do you have a question?
All my questions have been answered so far, and if I have more, I know how to contact everybody.
Yeah.
I appreciate my time here today. Thank you, and thank you, Tashia Love, for inviting me.
And I just want to add, if I may, that, people like yourself, Sunshine, and Jess, you have a huge market with the recovery community. I mean, you can really, through this program, be able to galvanize and catapult through, the connections and through the tribe and through the movement. And so we didn't get a chance to talk a lot about some of the tribe members and what they're doing. So there's so much information available and so much support for your brand and your product. So I hope that y'all will take advantage of this. Lots and lots of good things coming.
Thank you, love. With that, we are at the 11 o'clock hour. Thank you, everyone for being here. Thank you to Carol and David and Love and Erica. Thank you to everyone who attended. We appreciate you. I am absolutely on your side, whether or not you join this retreat. However I can help you get your story published, get your story told, I'm here. So please feel free to message me anytime with any questions. And you will do expect an email from me with further details and with the application so that you can go forward if that is something that you so choose. Thank you again, everyone, for being here today. And with that, I'm going to say farewell, and I'll talk to you.
Thank you, Naja. We love you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, you girls.
Nice
All
seeing
right.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.